Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Raven, who is also Brooke, and in today's video, I will be talking about whether or not stan culture has ruined music. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and to follow me on all my social media platforms, and remember that this is my opinion. That's my opinion! Nothing in this video I'm saying is facts, so please don't take it as such, and let's just get right into the video. Now, many people would say that the word stan first came from the song Stan by Eminem from the early 2000s, and the song is about an obsessive fan who is continuously writing to Eminem with no response. And then at the end, he does something very gruesome, something very drastic, because he just went crazy from not getting a response from Eminem. And I feel like fan behavior has always been a thing, it has always been dangerous. Like, there have been celebrities who have actually been by obsessive fans back in the early 2000s, early 20s. Basically, fans before this boom of social media, they may go to this person's meet and greets a lot and continuously show up, or they may show up to their house continuously. And back in the day, people used to write celebrities, so maybe they used to write a bunch of fan mail, a lot of dangerous fan mail to these celebrities. So this obsessive fan behavior just is not new to the masses at all. It has always been a thing. And I feel like, because to me, social media really boomed around like 2005, 2006, especially when MySpace came out and when YouTube came out. The unwarranted attention from these fans to the artist, it still felt like there was a boundary placed between the fan and the artist. It was still a clear boundary. There's nothing disturbing that. Even with the boom of MySpace, Facebook, and YouTube, there still was this boundary that fans and artists had. And also at this time, you didn't have like reaction videos where people could give, their opinions just so openly about music. Because back in the day, you really only had magazines and radio who gave their opinions about music and these musical blogs. You didn't have music podcasts now that love to dissect everything about the music industry. It was just a clear separation that I honestly wish we can get back to. I also think during the early 2000s, 2010s, with the rise of social media, we began to learn about what it means to have a parasocial relationship with a celebrity. And here's what a parasocial relationship is. Parasocial relationships refer to one-sided relationships in which a person develops a strong sense of connection, intimacy, or familiarity with someone they don't know, most often celebrities or media personalities. These relationships exist only in the mind of the individual who experiences a bond despite the lack of reciprocity. And I hope I said that right, and I don't think I said it right, but it's okay. And because I feel like this started when artists kind of used to respond back to people on like Twitter or their MySpace, or they began to have fan pages where they would not even directly communicate to fans, but where they would, in a way where they were indirectly communicate with fans, not necessarily responding to like message boards or whatever. But there are celebrities who did, have message boards on their website. They would sometimes even have fans, running their website. So again, this obsessive behavior is not new. Now, to me, the rise of stan culture in music started with the boom of social media in the early 2010s. So you can call this like the second wave of the boom of social media, when Instagram came around, and then Twitter became even more popular, and then TikTok started to happen. So I feel like with these three apps just becoming such a focal point for even artists to now market themselves, because we do live in such a social media / digital world, that is to me when stan culture actually began and when it started to actually reach its peak. You also began to see a lot of fan pages on Instagram or Twitter for these celebrities, and then you had, these celebrity fan groups with their names like the Beliebers, the Beehive, the Navy, the Barbs, the Monsters, and the list goes on and on. Pretty much every celebrity now has their own core fan group. And even on Twitter now, people can have like community groups. So a lot of celebrities may have like a community group for their fan base where they communicate to them. And like I said, with this rise, celebrities became even more engaged with their fans, especially when live started to become very popular, because now a celebrity can just be doing nothing, get on their phone and go on live. And something interesting about, the early 2010s and before is, and you hear this a lot now, is that celebrities almost felt so inaccessible at that point. It like, you really didn't have a lot of insight into a celebrity's life. Unlike now, where a celebrity can just go on their Instagram and go on live, and it's almost like this familiarity, I guess, that people feel like they have with a celebrity, and a sense of normalcy. Even though this is a whole celebrity, there is no sense of normalcy there, no matter what they do. And also what's becoming more popular now is TikTok live, and a lot of celebrities are now actually going on to Twitch. A lot of celebrities, you know, love to go on Kai Cenat's Twitch. You know, I think he's having like his what is it called? It's not, I know it's not a marathon. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the third one that he's doing. And so again, it's just this accessibility that we now have with celebrities. You can now see their personalities a little bit more compared to maybe the early 2010s and before. And my theory is when this, you know, second big boom of social media happened, that's really when the line started to get heavily blurred and damn near dismantled between a fan and a celebrity. Because at the end of the day, there's no way that you can relate to a celebrity unless you are one. There is just, to me, there are some traits that are relatable, but majority of the time, there's nothing relatable about a celebrity. They are a celebrity. That is just what it is. And I feel like we live in a world now where everything has to feel relatable, and we have to feel like we can connect to a celebrity when that's just not humanly possible. They live a whole different life, live in a whole different tax bracket than majority of the world. So again, I understand that there may be some traits about a celebrity, like maybe a love life or liking the favorite food, like I don't know, but at the end of the day, there's nothing relatable about a celebrity that we will ever get. No matter how big social media begins to become prominent, and no matter, you know, how much celebrities try to engage with their fans through social media. And also I forgot to mention that even on lives now, celebrities can just add a fan to a live. Like literally, they can just add a fan. The fan can directly talk to them, have a whole conversation with. Again, that line is heavily blurred at this point. Now, in terms of music, I feel like stan culture hit its, and still is hitting its all-time peak, and it really started to affect music when almost stan culture became more obsessed with the quantity of the music and not the quality of the music. And they're more obsessed about how much did this artist, you know, top on the Billboard, how much did they sell in that first week, not worried about if the project is even going to have longevity, but just more of like, what's that first week sale? Is it over 100K? Is it over what, like, how did this song chart? And because of this, it created this very toxic place on the internet, I feel like, for music. Because of course, back in the day, Billboard 100 was accessible. It still is to this day. You can go on Billboard 200 or Billboard 100 and just look at, you know, what artists are number one or number two. But I feel like back in the day, that never was a factor. It was more about the music. It was the music. Is the music good? Because a song can hit number one, but it can be the most god-awful song you ever heard in your life. And that doesn't mean a thing. And in return to people caring more about charts, and like I said, it became so toxic online between quote unquote stan culture that, for example, if your favorite artist charted higher than another artist, then a stan will go online and just start bashing the other artist, saying they're a loser. There's a term now called a Kia, which is just very offensive to the actual rapper Kia, who does have hits. But if you're a Kia, that means you're a failure in music. If your song doesn't chart in a certain place, or on Spotify, you only get a certain amount of like full day listens. Again, not caring about if the music is good. It's the charts. And then you have stans who would just sometimes unprovokedly just come at an artist because of their sales, or because if they feel like their artist is better than another artist, they'll just create even just imaginary beef sometimes, say heinous things to this person. Like that can get very dark very quickly. And then we start to see, you know, fans, like a fan base, come together to just stream to make sure that an artist does reach a goal, like in terms of sales. And also with this chart obsession, we began to see fans just start doing like streaming parties just so their favorite artist can reach a certain number on the Billboard 200 or Hot 100. And again, it's like, is the song even good? Can we start there? Is the song even good that you're over here doing streaming farms, throwing streaming parties? Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? And again, that begins to make the quantity of music feel more important than the quality. And music is just not meant for that. I don't care what anyone says. Music is meant for the quality, not the quantity. And then also you see stan pages almost feel entitled to these artists because there is no boundary that much anymore between, like I keep saying, the fan and the artist, to where they feel like they can just tell the artist what to do. And if the artist doesn't do it, they'll just kind of go off on them online and start talking very negatively about them, even though they're quote unquote fan. Like it's gotten to the point, like on Twitter, for example, a lot of artists are not on Twitter anymore because of just how insane disgusting these people can be when it comes to even how they talk to these artists about the simplest things that may not even have anything to do with music. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes there may be good advice that a fan of someone can tell them, but most of the time, again, we're not a celebrity. We don't really know what the music industry is like. So literally the advice that you're giving these celebrities probably don't mean shit, because it's probably not even possible. But people don't think about that. Like, they're kind of thinking on the surface level of, oh, like, why can't you just do a music video? Acting like music videos don't cost money. Why can't you book a show? Maybe this producer is saying, I'm not even big enough to be on this show. Like, I feel like there are so many moving parts, but because stans are almost in a delusion that they own this artist, that they miss, like, that they don't understand that there is a lot more that goes into the music industry than just do this and do this, or why can't you do this? I may have a team of people behind me telling me that I can't. Like, you don't know my situation. And to say something positive, I will say that, there have been artists that have, popped off and gone on to do great things in the music industry because of, stan culture. They will get a song out there that can be trending. There can be like a quote unquote underground artist who's been grinding for years and years, but because stan culture may get a hold of a song, now they finally have the recognition that they finally deserve. So there can be some good things about, minimal good things about stan culture. I'll give them that. And like I said earlier, because we live in such a social media / digital age now, a lot of artists have to use social media to market. And I do think that sometimes when it's in a healthy way, I feel like stan culture can help when it's in a healthy way again for an artist to promote, their work and their music. Now let's get into the ongoing downfall of stan culture. Now, I think the downfall of stan culture began when we started to see stans actually begin to harass people in real life, basically dox people because they may not agree or they may have a critique about a certain artist. And doxing is basically when you take someone's personal information, like their address, their phone number, their financial situation, and then you blast it on the internet. And unfortunately, that has happened many times. And that's when I realized, like, some of these stans may actually be dead ass mentally ill. And the sad thing is, because most, stan fan pages just have the celebrity face, you don't know this a 13-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 40-year-old. All you know is that this person has to have something mentally going on to where you are so mad about what someone says about a celebrity that you probably have never met. And I don't care if you talk to this person through DMs, through replies, you don't know this person, that you would actually go and like reveal someone's personal information because you're pissed about a critique about someone that you don't know. Like, what are we talking about? And then when they would start harassing artists out of nowhere because they think an artist says something that's shading another artist that they love, so then they go to them and start harassing the artist, then the artist feels like they had to say something back, and then next thing you know, a whole beef is created, all because someone in the stan universe got mad about something that was probably, again, so minimal and so small that they now started beef between two people in actual real life. And again, that has actually happened in real life where artists have actually began to have issues because a stan probably said something that wasn't even true. And going back to my point earlier about how stan culture made it more about the quantity and quality, it made the music industry even more quantitative than I feel like it already was, but now it's just more in our face about what it is. Because now you even have pages where it's just specifically to show like how an artist has charted. And like if a song comes out, you have people say now, okay, so what do you think it's going to chart? Like, what do you think the first week numbers are going to be? And again, nothing about the music, nothing about like, oh, which song do you like? Or, oh, I like this part of the song. I like this. Like, it's nothing about the music. It's always just the quantitative stuff about it. It is. Ugh. And again, going back to the term Kia, they begin actually disrespecting talented artists because they may not have charted as well. And again, there is a lot that goes on in the industry that a lot of people do not know about. Maybe this person didn't have the budget for marketing. Maybe they don't have a good team behind them. Hell, maybe that person doesn't even care of how they chart. They just want to put out good music, but instead they get harassed for it. And it could probably be one of the best songs you ever heard, but because it didn't get this amount of streams on Spotify, now you're just a flop, you're a fail. And then you actually have publications now actually writing about stan culture and just how toxic it is and how dangerous it is. And literally the last point I said is just that stan culture sucked the fun out of music. Like, it really did just suck the fun out of music and make it everything into this ass competition that it does not need to be. Because niggas will start comparing people who aren't even peers technically, who didn't even come out at the same time. And again, it's like, what are we talking about here? And also something that I do find really disappointing is when celebrities actually begin to feed into stan culture and actually begin to sometimes encourage it. And as far as the future for stan culture, I see it getting more and more dangerous unless celebrities actually begin to call this out head on and stop being, mysterious with the messages they want to tell their fans. They need to stop telling their fans to stop being so crazy and to stop harassing people over the dumbest. Unfortunately, because some of these celebrity fans are just actually insane. Like, they actually harass people over the dumbest thing. They take everything out of context most of the time. And I feel like the line between fan and artist is just going to keep getting more blurry and more blurry and more blurry. And it's going to get to a point now where music, again, is just going to be consumed for the numbers and not the actual art, which music is meant for. It's about the art. It's not about how much someone can sell. And again, I'm pretty sure as an artist, you want to sell well, you want to do well, like who wouldn't? But at the end of the day, will your art have longevity? Like, I feel like stan culture does not understand that. At the end of the day, will you have longevity with your art? Will your art stand the test of time? Like, yeah, you may chart well that first week, but then your shit may go all the way down that second week because people were more concerned about making those first week sales look good and not even making sure that the quality is there. And then also, I feel like something that I forgot to talk about during like the ongoing fall of stan culture is that I feel like it just stops stans from also listening to other artists and realizing that there are a lot of amazing artists out there who makes amazing ass music. Like, you don't have to just listen to your person and tear someone down to put your favorite artist up. And then I feel like it's getting even worse because now you have like pop music podcasts now who feel like they can just say their opinion about people, and because they're reaching such a masses, it then gets to these stan pages and these stans start to use it as like evidence or bait, or if they say something wrong about their favorite person, they're going to harass that podcaster. And I do feel like that sometimes these music podcasts can be very biased toward their favorite artists or just maybe someone they know in the industry. And I feel like, for example, Dead in Hip Hop, which is a YouTube channel that I really love. I love how objective they are. I love how they only care about the music. They're not over here on a couch talking about how much that person sold compared to another person and why that probably makes them better than the other person. No, it's about the music. It's not about the sale. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say that. I hope that a stan that's probably watching this understands that. It's the quality, not the quantity, people. Please. Overall, I just hope for the future that people begin to understand that at the end of the day, you do not know these people. I don't care if you met them in a meet and greet. I don't care if you're in a group chat with them. You don't know them. They're not family and they're not your friends. So you over here threatening people online because maybe they critiqued your favorite artist, or calling another artist a flop or a quote unquote Kia because maybe they didn't chart as much as an artist, even though they probably made a bomb ass project. You claim that you love your favorite artist and you love music, but how do you not also see the damage that you're doing to this music? And again, unfortunately, we don't know if these stans are 13, 25, or 42. So you kind of just have to sit there. You don't know. So you kind of just have to sit there and just come to the conclusion that these people are actually insane. Because again, a celebrity is not meant to be relatable. There is no way they can be relatable. So going that hard for someone who won't even go that hard for you, like, you need to sit down, take 100 steps back, and think about your life and get a job. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I would love to hear you guys' opinions in the comment section below. And remember to keep it respectful. And remember to keep life cute, fab, and fun. And I will see you guys in the next video.